What's up, guys? Make some fucking noise. It's Saturday in Charleston. Come on. Jesus. So we did this yesterday in Charlotte, and it was amazing. And it was I was about to say, I think there's more people here. And as someone that is from an overlooked city and came from a place where nobody comes from, you guys ever heard of Indiana, the state of Indiana? You have? Okay, all right. Many haven't. Many haven't. It's an unknown land, faraway place. And I feel like cities like Charleston, Charlotte, Columbus, Salt Lake City, Seattle, these are places that no one's talking about, but this is where real community lives and real talent is trying to thrive. So spaces like this are something that Hood Politics tries to create for you guys to hear from the horse's mouth how we made it, what we have done that get into the questions. I just want to remind you guys, like, the most important people that you can meet in this room are sitting to your left and right, because the people that I'm up here on this panel with, especially DJ Susan, we met as fans in the crowd, as fans of dance music, and we've built this up together, him from the beginning. And it's just incredible to be here with a community like you guys. So make some fucking noise again. Let's go. I'm gonna have everybody introduce themselves real quick. We'll do some questions, and then we want to get into Q&A. I feel like Q&A is the best way for you guys to get your questions answered. I'm Sherm. I came here from Chicago. Been in the industry over 10 years. DJ, producer, podcast host. I'm the label manager of Hood Politics, and I also am the co-founder of Chicago Music Nexus. So do a lot of different things. Also do some talent buying in Chicago as well. So yeah, have a lot of perspectives to share.
I'm Eric. I know most of you guys. I'm the owner of Trio and Take Me There Hospitality. Been doing this for about 9 years on the talent side and about 15 or 16 on the hospitality side. Yeah.
What up? I'm DJ Susan. Yes, I'm a man. Yeah, I'm super stoked to be here and connect with you guys. I've been in the game for as long as I can remember. I don't even remember the last time I had a real job. So I run Hood Politics. I founded Hood Politics. I'm the owner. Been doing that for the last 10 years. I run a bass label called Peak Dial, and I've pretty much been in every space that you could be in, every experience here. So I'm excited to share my experience and expertise with you guys, and we'll party later too.
My name is Kyle B. Jones. I am one of the co-founders and the director of EDM.com. We launched the site on January 1st, 2014, so we've been around for just over 10 years. I also, with my business partners, we have a record label and do some record label services stuff. We have a catalog of approximately 5,000 tracks with a lot of, across all of the gamut of EDM. We have a lot of early tracks. Like we have Millennium's first 3 commercial releases and things like that. And then I also do some select artist management. So I wear a few hats, but extra excited to share my insights from a media perspective.
Hey guys, thanks for coming out. I'm Ryan Williams with Project 91, co-owner of that with my business partner Todd, who's sitting in the crowd. We've been around for about 6 years, and we throw, primarily experiential events ranging from, 200 people to 10,000 people, and booking artists, small, large, what have you. We mainly started up in New York and have been operating out in New York for a while, but decided to take our talents to here, and we'll have a lot of cool events for you guys on the horizon this year that we're super excited about.
What's up, guys? My name is James Soto. I'm the entertainment director at Trio. Happy to be here. See some familiar faces and some new faces too. I've been a local DJ in Charleston for more than 12 years, and I started working for Trio in 2020. One of the best decisions of my life. Been learning a lot, and it's a pleasure having you all here.
Let's go. Make some noise for the panelists, guys. Fuck yeah, I got my own mic. Let's go. I'm wielding the power right now. Can you hear that radio voice? 257 fucking podcast episodes later. Okay, guys, so everybody up here is here because we took chances on ourselves. And I know many of you are in the beginning phases where it's really scary to take a chance on yourself. So much vulnerability, so much judgment out there in the world. But I wanted to ask each panelist a time where they, in their early stages of their career and their music endeavors, took a chance on themselves and it actually worked out. We can start. Let's start with Sue.
What up? Let's get it. I don't think my music career could have been in a worse place when I was gatekeeping myself from the world, gatekeeping my music for the world, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, waiting for my art to be perfect. And everything changed when I started focusing on consistency. I started focusing on just paving my own lane, doing my own thing and having fun, because I found myself in so many situations meeting cool people, just like right here, right? You meet somebody, you connect, they get to know you, they want to see your music, they want to see your artist project, and then they go to look at it. There's nothing there. There's nothing there that showcases this level of professionalism or this level of I'm a serious artist, right? So I missed out on so many opportunities because I wasn't prepared in that sense. And it wasn't even that people were going to listen to that music or like dissect it like we do, but just having content there and having a product there that represented me was game changing. And I think detaching myself from the outcome of music and the probabilities was really helpful for me. Started allowing me to make music for myself, and my creativity just took off, and the writer's block left, and I started my own thing with Hood Poly, and everything changed.
Hell
It was
yeah.
legendary.
Make some noise for DJ Susan, guys. Come on.
Yeah, it's not all about perfectionism. It's about
Yeah.
progress, and progress comes from consistency. And it's so easy to sweat the small stuff, but in the end, focus on developing your identity, being proud of your work and putting it out there. No one's gonna know who you are, see who you are, or get to connect with you if you're not actively putting your art out in the world. And even if you don't think it's good, I promise you, there's always one person that's gonna fuck with it. There's always gonna be one person that thinks it's great and that's special. Keep building off that momentum and keep building off those fans, and you'll see so many amazing things happen.
Love it. Yeah. Let's go to Kyle next, and then we'll end up on Eric.
So as far as betting on yourself and pushing in, I had a unique entrance to the music industry. So when I went to Wake Forest University and I was the Demon Deacon mascot there.
Ooh. He's got a fucking Wake Forest watch on, guys. Okay, I did this yesterday.
So my first job out of college was I was actually working at a ski resort, but the whole time I was just like thinking about mascotting, and I was really interested in it. And I had this idea that 50 Cent, who at the time was at the top of the industry, just to put you back where in the right timeline, and I thought that 50 Cent and his gorilla unit needed a gorilla mascot, and I was so convinced that this idea was dope, where I was like, yo, I have to try this. And so I was thinking about it like, if I don't try this, every time I hear a 50 Cent song, I'm going to be thinking, yo, I could be on the yacht with him like right now chilling. And the answer can be no, but I got to know. So I quit my job. I bought a gorilla suit. I shot a highlight video. I snuck into like a high school basketball all-star game. Everybody's like saying, G unit. I was like, oh, this is dope. I had footage of me skydiving, jet skiing, all kinds of stuff. And I started trying to, pitch it to 50 Cent by just, I actually ran into somebody in the street who worked on his marketing team, which was a big breakthrough. But in any case, from that point forward, just to quickly get to where we are right now, there was a CD being used as a coaster in the house, and one time I put in the tape deck, and it was hip hop, and it was really good. I was like, yo, who are these guys? And I thought somebody'd be like, oh, those are new dudes on BET. You don't know those guys yet? But the answer was like, those are those kids who live down the block and sell weed to Rob. And I was like, wait, these guys aren't famous yet? I was like, Rob, next time you buy weed, tell these kids to come over to the house. I want to holler at them. So he did. So there was like goon squad, like 20 dudes in our living room, and me like looking like this. And I said, like, look, went to Wake Forest, got a degree in business with emphasis in marketing. I really like your mixtape. Like, you guys need any help with marketing? And they were like, yo, bet, let's do this. So that's how I got in. And at that point, I got very passionate about like marketing and management and stuff. So I sort of like set the mascotting thing aside and started working with them. I had, again, the expensive degree. Society said go be an investment banker, but I said no, I'm going to do this other stuff. So I was living on an air mattress, selling mixtape to pay rent, doing all that kind of stuff. Eventually, there was a transition into EDM when one of the producers that I was running around managing unsigned rappers and producers. One of the producers that I was working with heard Skrillex when Skrillex first came out with monsters and sprites, and we pivoted with that. So that's how I got into EDM. We found out the domain edm.com was available for sale in 2013. Bought the domain, and everything from that point forward, just like that was the right time when the blog era was just going crazy. So the career just sort of progressed really quickly from that, and then developed edm.com. Using that as a leverage point, we were able to develop a record label and get it systematized and start doing single track releases, which wasn't really be done anywhere at the time. There's a few places doing it, but we were one of the first. And that's how we originally started building our catalog, building relationships with artists. So my bet on myself moment was quitting my job, buying a gorilla suit, and trying to get in touch with 50 Cent. And I think what the takeaway for everybody here is, when people in the industry, like Ryan, like Eric, when they come in contact with you, like they can read it, they can tell like who's all in. And it doesn't mean that you can't have a day job. Day jobs are good. Day jobs are necessary. We were talking about it in the car ride on the way here. But they can tell if you're all in or if you're not all in. And when you're all in, like that helps allow other people to bet on you because they know like you've made the ultimate bet on yourself. If you have not made the ultimate bet on yourself, nobody wants to put their chips on you because they already have too much stuff to do. But you can read it. Like Eric, you guys, you can tell when somebody's like all in, and that's what I want the takeaway to be from my story.
Thanks, Kyle. This guy literally, Wake Forest did give you the insight to buy edm.com.
In 2013 too is crazy.
Yeah,
because
that's genius.
That's genius. Yeah, what
That's
a legend.
genius. Let's go to Ryan because I want to end on Eric.
Yeah, so I didn't start out in the music industry. I actually started out in investment banking. So I guess I was listening to what society was telling me to do at the time. I went to Gettysburg College, studied economics, had always loved music. I actually started like my own music website blog while I was in college just for fun with some buddies. I DJ'd like our frat parties and whatnot, nothing too crazy.
Any frat DJs out here right now? Any former frat DJs out here? Wow. Okay, there we go. Be proud. Be proud.
But yeah, I was always pretty gung-ho on, going into finance and living in New York City, working on Wall Street, doing all that hoopla. That turned out to, shocker, not be the greatest profession in the entire world. And it was about 4 years in, I just absolutely hated what I was doing. It was tough because, you can make some good money there, and I was pretty good at it. But one day, I knew it started when I tell this story to some of my friends. Like I was faking job interviews and went to Mykonos and Ibiza for 2 weeks, and like came back and told my MD that I was like looking at private equity stuff, and then just went into his office one day and was like, "Hey, I'm quitting. I'm going to go pursue different things." And he was like, "Oh, what other bank are you going to? Like, are you going to JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, like blah, blah, blah." I was like, "I'm going as far away from banks as possible." And he told me I was making like the worst decision of my life. I don't think he was too correct in that assessment. And that's kind of what led me into my music path. So once I did that, I started a club with a few people in Meatpacking District in Manhattan. That was actually more rap hip hop based, but I had always wanted to push more into dance. And then COVID came. Todd, my business partner, started Project 91. I had kind of left the city and was bouncing around doing a lot of different things. And to Chris's point here, I think you really need to jump in when the time is right. Like Todd and I could be the first people to tell you things could be working a lot differently with our company right now, and we might be in an even bigger space where we are if him and I had been, started back in 2020. But I was just doing other things. I was letting myself get preoccupied with, some stuff that I wasn't truly passionate about. Did it work out in the end? Yes. But yeah, I think if you really just follow what you love, you know, it will lead you, as cliche as that sounds, to the right place. And I think like the number one thing you can be doing is associating yourself with people around this room, right? Like you truly are a product of your environment. Like that's how I ended up in investment banking, right? Like I went to a school and I had a bunch of friends who were going that track. Like if I were even had brought up the idea of like, oh, hey, I'm gonna go work for like a music label or a management company. I had dabbled a little bit about going onto the agency side when I was leaving banking. I just didn't have that many peers at the time who were like-minded, so I didn't really have any, you know, gravitational forces to push me in that direction, I guess. And I think that's important. So, you know, just trust your gut and make the move when you feel the time is right. And, you know, the time is never going to be perfect, right? But yeah,
That's great,
kind of my
Ryan.
story there.
No, yeah. Let's go to Soto.
As some of you guys know, I'm from Guatemala originally, born and raised. I always loved music when I was a kid. I used to go to church with my family, and I was seeing the stage, and I was like, oh, I like that, you know, like I would love to play an instrument or something. I had a guitar when I was a kid, but I practiced, and I have ADHD, so I was getting distracted really easy all the time.
Shout out ADHD.
So that's one of the things too. And then I had the opportunity to move to the United States thanks to my dad. I got my green card, moved here. I live in Tampa, Florida, when I had my first opportunity to go to an American club. And I went to Star Nation. It was on a Thursday night. They had 3 rooms. One was hip hop, the other one dubstep, and the third one was big room. And that's when I learned about Zed, Skrillex, you know, and 50 Cent too. And it was 2012 in Tampa, and 11, sorry. And then I was like, wow, I like this. Who's the person doing all this? And I had 3 people, one running visuals, one running lights, and the DJ, of course. Funny story, the DJ was DJ Monk. He's still going on right now. I reached out to him like a year ago, and I was like, because of you, I became a DJ. I don't know if you know. And he said, subscribe to my Patreon. I said, nice
That's
to
a
meet
real
you.
hustler right there, bro. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Anyways, I moved to Charleston. I was working in a restaurant, and I bought my first mixer from a guy in the kitchen. He was like, hey, I have this mixer. You look like an outgoing guy. They like music. You always play like energetic tunes on the radio here at the Mexican restaurant. Shout out Santis. I don't know if you know Santis, but shout out Santis. And yeah, so I got my first Mix Track Pro, 125 bucks. I started practicing in my room. I started using virtual DJ first, then Serato.
Name. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. Then Serato. Just practicing in my room because I was drinking giant Red Bulls and just practicing for hours in my room by myself till I got my first opportunity to at Republic on a Sunday night. I went and grabbed a drink with my friend, and he was a DJ too. And it's like, do you know like Soto is a DJ too? And he was like, you have something online? I think I had a DJ set on SoundCloud that I recorded myself, and I showed to him. He was walking around listening to it. He's like, you want to work on a Sunday? And I was like, yeah, I'm down. Let me play. He's like, you hire. First job, first Sunday I played. Nobody was there. I got my first check, 50 bucks. I was the happiest DJ in the world, you know.
Yeah, you got paid?
Yeah, I got paid.
Yeah.
There was times when I drink more than I supposed to get paid, so I end up paying to DJ too.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah. They pay you in alcohol. You're like, this
Yeah.
is great. This is really the value of $1.
Anyways, I started, you know, people met me. One thing I can recommend you guys or advise you is you have to have a personality, be positive, you know, always show face, show support. If you want to be hired to DJ a place, first show your face, get familiar with the staff, get familiar with all the support DJs, and then if you ever get to be a support DJ, not just come and bounce when you're done, you know, kind of stay, hang out with the headliner, show support after, you know, that says a lot about you, how hungry you are and where you want to get. That's been helping me. Obviously, I have my bad days. Like for example, I started playing everywhere else downtown. I play every single spot downtown. There was days that I was getting double booked and stuff, so I was getting for the one pay me the most. Sorry, but there was times like I opened for Pitbull here. I don't know if you know Mr. Worldwide. So shout out to Mr. Worldwide. I opened for him, 13,000 people. It's every ethnicity in front of you. You see all ages. Aunt Mary never comes out. She came out that day. Somehow you got to make her dance. And people sent me a do not playlist, of course, playlist. And every single song was remixed by him. So it was really hard to make that playlist. And it was great in Charleston. Amazing. I did a good job. I was nervous, of course. I wasn't even drinking. What's up, brother? Shout out. Hey, what's up, guys? It's my boy, Santiago.
What's up, Santiago? Make some noise for Santiago, everybody. He's fucking late, though.
Anyways, I was happy with my job for Charleston, and then I got hired again for Anderson, South Carolina. The problem is Pitbull was late, and the guy told me, keep playing 20 more minutes, and then he will be here. So I said it in the mic. That was my mistake. 20 more minutes, everybody. Everybody, after being there standing for 9 hours, 20 minutes passed, 30 minutes more. The people thought I was holding him, They started throwing bottles at me, bottles of water. Boom. I was, avoiding them, and I said I had to stop. So I stopped. You will have bad sets. There's gonna be slots that no one's gonna be there, but always keep that positive attitude. That will take you far. There was gonna be empty venues. There's gonna be people who's gonna tell you change the track. Oh, you're boring. Can you play this? Can you play that? Always have a positive attitude, and that will help you to get whatever you want to get. Like, I'm not saying I'm the best example in the world. I haven't released any originals. I've been slacking on that side. I'm still working on it, but I'm super happy where I am, and I think there's always room for improvement in your life, and that's my advice.
Let's go. Thanks, Soto. All right, let's go to Eric. And before he says anything, none of us would be here unless he took a fucking chance on literally this place and Trio in both cities. And it's just been so cool, man. Like, just meeting you yesterday and all the people that have these stories about you, Eric, and everything you've done for the scene, and all these people that know and respect you, and like, you're really a man of the people, and I think that's incredible.
Thank you, man. Before I talk about me, I do want to kind of add a little bit to what Soto was saying, and I think he undervalued the leap that he took, because he said something that will resonate with a lot of you, where he was playing 7 days a week, sometimes twice a day, every different venue in town, making a lot of money. And, this is going to be a theme, I think, coming up in the next couple questions, that he needed to decide what he wanted to do with his life. And just because you don't make music, that's okay. You don't want to be a producer. He enjoys, I think, being the entertainment director, being the face of the party scene in Charleston. And he took a giant leap of faith when he gave up all that money playing a ton of different places right after COVID to come and work at one venue and only one venue. If we shut down in a year because we weren't successful, he'd be on the street and had just quit every other job. So he took a big leap of faith on me and also himself to realize that he had the skill set to run an entire entertainment program at a nightclub in a very small city. So give yourself a little more credit on that one.
Let's go, Soto. That's Mr. World right there, Mr. Guatemala.
But for me, I think my leap of faith came in about 2018. I started working in hospitality as a kid, but really in 2012, when I was in law school, I needed a job, or 2011, I needed a job that paid cash under the table, because you're not allowed to work your first year in law school in Charleston. And ran into a guy drunk on the beach. He was hitting on a friend that was a female friend of mine, and to kind of like smooth things over, he's like, oh yeah, I manage this bar called Midtown, which you guys are probably all too young to know. And I was like, all right, great. Well, I need a job. He's like, all right, cool. I'll come in Monday. I'll hire you as a bar back. I was like, done. Be there. Show up Monday. He's like, yeah, we're not open for another like 2 hours. I was like, yeah, you told me to come in. I met you on the beach. He's like, I have no idea who you are. I don't remember. So I just sat there and I was like, well, I'm not leaving here without a job because I started school in 5 days and, I need to make some money. So it worked out, started working there. The owner bought Trio here, which has been here since like the early 2000s as Trio. He bought it in 2012, 2013, renovated it, turned it into the Key Club, moved over here, bar backed over here, worked my way up, bar back, bartender, manager, VIP manager, GM. Then we opened a bar on King Street called Vintage together, still there. Fell in love with hospitality, realized that practicing law wasn't going to be my entire life. Did it during the week, worked here on the weekends. We had some management issues in the old company, so I was then bouncing around between all of their bars, which was here, Vintage, Dispensary, and Blind Tiger. I realized that nightlife was for me. Offered to buy in to a quarter of Trio, put it through a renovation. The other owners were like, we don't really want a nightclub anymore. Just take it off our hands. I was like, well, I don't have that kind of money. So went to a bank, said, what do I got to do to buy this? They're like, well, you have a house. Just put your house on the line and we'll give you enough money to buy it. And I was like,
God damn.
awesome. Did that, signed the paperwork, and I was like, all right, well, now I got to renovate it. So where am I going to come up with the rest of the money to renovate this thing? And I literally just went to people I knew, people before Soto's time, but people like a Soto, where I was like, look, I want to put some money into this building. I don't have any money. I'll pay you when it's done. Wow. And I got a couple lines of credit at a couple different banks to get it started. I literally just leveraged every relationship I had, built it. And right when we were getting ready to, get afloat and start paying people back, COVID hit. And then it was like, well, shit, now what am I going to do? So made it through COVID and very fortunate that there was a lot of government assistance for independent music venues, got some grants, got some loans, got everybody paid back, came out of it. COVID was a hit, as for those of you who were here and hopefully were able to experience Dom Dalla, John Summit, Steve Aoki, Don Diablo, Vintage Culture, Medusa. I mean, the list goes on for people that played in a 160 cap room in Charleston, South Carolina. So that really took us to where we were, then wanted to expand, moved to Charlotte, and then within 2 years, we now have 5 venues. So, I mean, talk about a leap of faith is, my wife and I put every single thing we owned on the line to get to where we were, and it was worth it. And, you really can see who's all in and who's not. There's something about the way that you act and talk that, you don't have to be all in if you don't want to make this your career or your life. But if you do, you need to just be all in. And, there's nothing wrong with a day job, and you can have a day job and still be all in because you have bills to pay. But I think that there really is a difference between being all in and not. And if you want to be all in, you got to be all in. So I guess my advice is just decide what really makes you happy, whether it's being a producer or, being a DJ, running entertainment. Soto's a great example of an unbelievable DJ, but he is more the hospitality side of the DJ. He loves putting people on the guest list, having them come to his show, pouring shots in their mouth, doing all the fun stuff. And not, is from an outsider, I see his passion as providing experience and not just making music. And that's why he is so good at what he does. And he gets down on himself because he doesn't make music, but he doesn't need to make music because he doesn't want to be a producer. He wants to be what he is, and he's great at it. So I think find your path and dive in head first. There shouldn't be anything holding you guys back.
Hell yeah. Shout out to Eric, guys. Make some noise for Eric. Yeah. It's a crazy thing to take a chance on yourself, especially in the early days. Like, you really just have to ruthlessly believe in yourself and just know whatever the outcome, if I put my best foot forward, then it's going to be worth the effort no matter what. I came up in Chicago, which was a really, really hard place to make it because I came from Indiana. Like I said, I was DJing at my frat. I thought it was sick. We booked Audion in our backyard, and that's sick. I can get any gig in Chicago now. It's so sick. I tried to get a gig. I just went up to the DJs in Chicago, these massive clubs. I was like, hey, I'm Sherm. My voice was even more squeaky and fucking raspy. And I was like, hey, I'm Sherm. I'm trying to get a gig. And he was like, who the fuck is this kid, bro? And he was like get in the back of the line essentially. All these DJs, you know, this was a time where resident DJs were very, very popular, and you know they played the same places, and it was sort of a power hierarchy. And I just wanted to play house music so badly, and it was really, really difficult for me as a house music producer to try and get gigs at house music clubs in Chicago. Obviously, it's the home of house music, so there's lots of opportunity to do that. But I couldn't get a gig. I really couldn't. I had no clout, I had no experience, I had zero connections. So I said, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna start throwing my own parties. So me and my buddy, we started renting subwoofers from Guitar Center, and we would push the seats in my friend's Toyota Camry all the way up to the front so we could fit the subwoofers in the back. We're literally driving from like North Chicago down to fucking this place. We carried the speakers up. They banged my fucking knees. I got fucked up knees because of this shit. It was worth it though. Literally to a taco place. And it was just so I could play house music with my friends, and I would book the DJs, and I would program the lineup, and we would come up with cocktail deals and stuff just so I could literally play some house music. And little did I realize I was building a community. It was friends, and it was friends of friends. And looking back, that was the smartest thing I ever did. As nervous as I was, I just wanted to do something for myself. And I think everybody here has said that. Like, do what is going to be best for you and is going to make you happy. And you'll look back and all these things will start to make sense. It might not make sense right away, but if you believe in the journey and the path, then it will. So I could use some icy hot for these knees, by the way, if you got any later. Yeah, you might. Okay, so we asked this question yesterday, and I feel like it's a great question. It's a very simple concept. Is networking more important than talent? And I think this is a hot topic because a lot of people like you guys that are trying to get into the industry, you don't know how to get in the industry, and you assume, well, they've got this network that I don't have access to. Or they have this unbelievable talent of being a musical producer savant, and they make the best music, and you realize you're actually comparing yourself to a very, very, very small amount of people. And this was a great question yesterday because so many people have a different experience. So we'll go down the line. We'll start with Eric because he has a good explanation of this. Is networking more important than talent?
I think it depends on which route you want to go. You know, if you want to be a ghost producer and make music for Cascade behind the scenes and send a bunch of music to record labels and, you know, win a Grammy, yeah, you need talent. If you want to get booked as a DJ and, you know, be on festival lineups and all that, it's both. You got to have the talent, but you also have to have the networking. And networking isn't necessarily just networking. It's being a genuine enough person to be likable, to where networking is a benefit to you versus a detriment. You know, it happens a lot in Charlotte where we get a lot of these kind of DJs right out of college that think they're the shit and they want to just network, but to them,
I am the
networking.
shit. Why'd you have to look at me like that, Eric?
Well, that was going off of what you were piggybacking what you said, but that, you know, their idea of networking is sending an email to 100 people or DMing 17 people and saying like, oh, I want to DJ here, like, book me. Like, that's not networking. Networking is coming to stuff like this, supporting other local DJs, finding local collectives, meeting people, moving your way up, finding promoters, working with promoters, supporting promoters, not asking for a guest list. Go and buy a ticket, find the promoter and say, hey, this is a great fucking lineup. Like, be unique, be different. Don't be like, oh, I got fucked up at your show last night, had a great time, can you book me? You know, it's what you did to put Angela the Kid playing into Lost Kings at this cool venue made sense because their music, that was cool. Relate to them, find mutual friends, find mutual connections. So I do think they're both very important, but I would say networking is probably more important. It's not necessarily just networking, it's relationships. You do get booked based off relationships a lot of the time. And it's not what people think like, oh, they just got booked because they know so-and-so. It's not necessarily that they know them, it's that they want to book them. We book a lot of people here over and over again that may not be, they don't sell the most tickets, they don't have the highest bar sales, but we enjoy spending time with them. We enjoy the experience we have when they're here. We like going to dinner with them. We like taking them out. It's people that we want to continue to grow with. So networking is a very, very important part of it. But again, it's not just who you meet, it's how you meet them, how you present yourself, and what you can bring to the table, not necessarily just from like a financial perspective, but an experiential perspective. Our entire hospitality business model is based off experience, and it goes both ways. We want the customer to have a good experience. We want our staff to have a good experience. We want our DJs, everybody that's involved from beginning to end, we want to have that experience, and we want them to provide it to us too. So really, like, be genuine, be yourself, make connections that are worthwhile and positive and in all those ways, and continue to network in the ways where you're bringing something to the table other than just being there. So
Yeah, and you'd be surprised how easily accessible someone like Eric might be. I have this theory that everybody thinks the doors are locked. They're really just closed, and people aren't even willing to open the door or even fucking knock. So I would encourage you just to knock, just to reach out in a genuine way. It's like when you go to a party, like a house party, and the door's locked and there's a long line for the bathroom. There's nobody in the fucking bathroom because everybody refused to fucking knock, and you walk and you cut the line. You go, it's fucking open. I'm going in. Sorry. Be that person that fucking literally goes to the front of the line and says, I'm going to make myself known in a way that's going to actually get me through that door.
but do it in exactly that, but do it in the right way. Don't I'm trying to remember. I think there was years ago, I had like put a post up on Instagram about my wife's birthday or some like very important anniversary or something, and I get a comment on it like, I've been trying to get in touch with you, I want to DJ a trio. It's just like, cool, find the right way to do it. Like,
Sorry,
I'm in this building all the time. Come into the building, work your way up the ladder, meet DJ Soto, send him a mix, let him book you as an opener. Find the right place and time to do it. Don't try to sell me a vape vending machine and then be like, I want to DJ a trio. So it's just not, there's the right and wrong way to do it.
These are all true stories. I love that.
Yeah, plain and simple. I think that the talent is networking, is being able to network. And I don't really like the word networking because it's a little too serious and professional, but plain and simple, like if you're trying to get booked, you're not going to get booked by someone that doesn't know you and doesn't like you. Show up, support the things that you want to support you, and watch it happen. The artists that I signed to Hood Poly, the artists that I book on Hood Politics, there are fans who have shown up consistently without any like thing that they want in return. Just consistently show up, support, show love, always encouraging us, always messaging us, always saying like, thank you, promoting us and being a part of the team. And when that happens, you want to give back into that person. And it ties into this like cliche, like you get what you give. And it's so true, right? There's so many people wanting to do the same thing in this industry, the same venues getting booked at, the same labels getting released on, but no one's really doing anything to stand out outside of an email, a text, or a DM, right? It's the people that show up, say, hey, Sue, thank you so much. I'm grateful to be here. Like, those are the people that make the impact on me. And I think if you're trying to get signed on a record label or get booked for a party, show up, connect, be a homie. Like, the talent is being likable, and being likable is just being yourself. We start to act differently and in a way that's compromising when we detach ourselves from who we are and start thinking about the outcome more. Like, it's really that simple, you know? I think if we all just took a moment to realize that we have this superpower of just being ourselves and putting ourselves out there to help people and make people feel good and like show support, then you're gonna wanna do that more, and you'll watch so many things flourish. You can't just dead-endly hit somebody up and expect to get something back. And I mean, you could be the biggest, best producer on planet Earth, make the best tunes, but be a douchebag and you won't get anywhere. The dude that has one track out and is a homie and is spreading love and is showing up and encouraging people and being a part of the community that they want to be a part of them with, it's gonna happen for him over the dude with the best records, the best music. It's all about energy, truly. And I always speak on this thing that I came up with. I think it's called the first currency, and that's your energy. That's your love that you can give to the world. And I call it the first currency because this type of behavior and this type of attitude, it opens doors that money can't buy. It buys you priceless things, priceless experiences that you'll never get through money or anything else. It's all about love. It's all about energy. And especially in an industry that's so big, but so small, your reputation matters. Trust me. Everybody talks. And I always like to joke with the boys when we go out and do a show, and we're always high-fiving everybody, always showing gratitude, always saying what up to everybody. And I'm like, dude, when they have that Monday meeting, they're gonna go, God, I love the Hood Poly boys. And then we're getting more opportunities from that, right? And when I meet somebody who's such an amazing producer, looks great on paper, best tunes, but he's lacking, I'm not remembering him for the music or his catalog or whatever, his talents. I'm remembering him for the person that he is. And I think that's the most important thing ever. Yup. Cue the CO2 on that
Hell
one
yeah,
right there.
fuck yeah. Nice drop.
But no, your authenticity is your superpower. And love and respect and kindness and your attitude is truly, personally, I believe, so much more important than the product. So start focusing on that as the product, truly, and you'll watch just everything that you want come to you. Truly, you got to get it to give it. So, yeah, fuck talent, just be a G.
The first currency. That's got to be the name of your autobiography, Sue. Go ahead, Kyle.
So ultimately, I feel like it's a balance between networking and talent, and we see that with the things that we're involved with as a platform. Most people in here have heard the adage, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So I think that applies in the music industry. You have to put the work in, and everybody here is doing that right now just by showing up. Showing up is half the battle. And then as far as like just networking 101, like, tip, which hopefully everyone in here is already familiar with, but try to find a way to add value before you're asking for something. And realistically, it should be like 5 to 7 times if we're looking for specifics, minimum of 3. So when you're and what you can do is like spend some time thinking like, what can I do to add value to somebody who's quote unquote like at this higher level than me or this level where I want to get to? And there are things that you can do. So the naturally is like, well, I don't know, they're already up here. I don't know what I can do for them. But there are things, if you take some time, like you can figure out things that you can do. It could be send in and, hey, I thought of you. I saw this article. I was reading it, thought of you. Boom. It could be, showing up in the community to support. So if you're, getting in touch with Soto and you want to be booked here, you come out when you see when he's posting stuff, like that is adding value. He wants people to come. So come. Like, yeah, you showed up. That's cool. That counts. So find ways to add, value 3 to 7 times first. And then when you do a soft ask or what have you, then you're way more likely to get a good response rather than just first coming with your hand out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They did a good job of covering this one. I agree with everything everyone said over here. I think obviously talent can take you only so far, right? I would like if I'm looking for, if we're making new hires, right? Like the first thing we're looking for is work ethic, and really just going above and beyond and going the extra mile to do what it takes to get whatever we need done, right? Like, and talent, you can't really teach that, right? So I think a lot of this, and it goes back to networking too, goes into your preparation for whatever it is that you're trying to do. I'd use the word like be calculated with like how you're spending your time and where you're choosing to go. That word has a negative connotation sometimes, but it does ring true. If you're putting yourselves, I go back to the same thing that I said before. If you're putting yourself in the right environment, you're going to meet the right people. And if you're bringing, this air of authenticity, it's going to take you even farther, right? Like anyone who is a genuine person that wants to actually help you and work with you is going to be able to sniff out, whether you're social climbing, offering, you're just out for yourself. You're not really, there's trade-offs all over our industry, right? Like, and it's an unfortunate part of the music industry because a lot of people, undercut and don't act with the most integrity sometimes. So then it creates this vicious cycle that, everyone is sort of paranoid. And they're always, checking XYZ on who's doing what to who. And like, as an event promoter, right? Like we get that all the time. We take a different approach. We're very collaborative. We want to work with everyone. When I came to Charleston and I want to start doing events, the first person I called is Eric to say, hey, this is what I'm planning on doing. I would love for you to be a part of it. You don't have to be a part of it, but that's out of respect to what Eric has built down here and the market that he's created. Like, I don't want to come into this market and start throwing out all these crazy offers and mess with his stuff because that's only going to hurt both of us. But yeah, back to the the main point. I think if you put yourself in the right places, you're gonna meet the right people, and some people would probably have different schools of thought on this, but like I'm very much like a text, an email, a follow up is not really gonna get it done. If you're texting me and I don't have your number, if you're emailing me and I don't know who you are, I'm probably not going to respond unless you have come up with like some crazy catch. Not because I don't want to speak to you, but solely I'm just way too busy. So by, coming here and doing what you're doing now and just, shaking hands and coming and like he's saying, like come with an actionable item, right? And that goes back to the preparation. Like if you scout out who's speaking here today, right? I don't know what it is, what everyone wants to do, but you pick, like, I mean, go, like, everyone has Google, right? Figure out what they've done, figure out where they come from, figure out a commonality you may have with them, and then broach that subject after we're done talking. And you never know what that door can lead you to. And I found, a lot of why I'm sitting here today and the position that I'm in right now with my company is solely because, I just went and started doing stuff and went to the correct places that led me down the road of the things that I wanted to do. Like Todd and I met at Ultra in Miami, right? We both were not in the music industry at the time. He was working in event planning. You're still at Under Armour, right? Yeah, he was working in Under Armour. I was still in finance. We had a mutual friend that worked at WME and was trying to be an agent at the time. We all, loved music, and we had no idea where these relationships were going to take us. We both moved into the city, and the rest was history, right? So I know not everyone has the means to just fly down to Ultra, but on a smaller scale, it's like go find your people in environments that everyone's kind of doing the same thing. And I think the right people will come to you if you are just very genuine about it. And yeah, that's kind of my take on all that.
Well, for me, I think talent is really important too. This room actually is full of great producers that I met, great DJs, extroverts and introverts too. Sometimes it's really hard for a super talented producer to go and have personality on stage or release their music because they're not comfortable with what they have so far. So I feel like having a positive attitude again, following what you want, what really makes you happy, it will get you there. And then I feel like they go by hand. Of course, networking. I don't like to use that word either. I feel like come hang out, come be my friend. Let's grab a bite or a couple shots or 35, and and yeah, honestly, it doesn't have to be specifically here at Trio. There's other awesome venues in town. If you really want to play different places, or I would recommend you to go play sports bar or play a rooftop. Have all these different um, experiences, and that will make you more talented too when it comes to performing. Because there's like room producers that I know. That's really hard for them to represent their talent on the stage, and there's people like me. I'm there like a clown on the stage. I love being there. I love performing and stuff. And it's really like I said, I've been I've been getting a lot of DMs all the time. Like working at Tree, I've been learning a lot about different personalities. In the beginning, I was a little harsh on people. I was like, we want this, and that. But then I was like, no, that's not gonna work. So I've been learning too. I've been adapting myself to the new generations, new mentalities, new mindsets. I've seen a lot of ego. So the first thing I said, hey, just put the ego aside. Come here. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but I'm gonna tell you what works for us. If you want to do it, I'm here to help you. I'll give you all the answers I have. I'm not gonna have all the answers for other places, but I have the answers for this place. So if you have questions, I'll help you. So I think talent is it's important too. Always respect your product, but at the same time, follow what you want. If networking will take you there, network. always be friendly, positive attitude, and always show your face.
Love that. Hell yeah. Yeah. Great answers from everybody. I think when you say is networking more important than talent, like what everyone has said is network your talent in any way that you possibly can. I agree. Not everybody is an extroverted DJ Susan, 9'9", 800 pounds, big mustache. See this guy coming across from this fucking Serengeti desert, man. Right? Like he's a presence, right? Not everybody is like that. And surprisingly enough, I used to not be the most extroverted guy either, but I connected with the people that I love that I had never met. And I feel like in music, my favorite part about it is how quickly you can become friends with people. It's like 10 seconds because like we said in the beginning, we know if you're in, and if you're in, then we're all in together. And the way that I really actually made myself known is I started a podcast because I've always been a fan of radio personality. And that's how I met DJ Susan, our friend Chris Diaz over there. I met him.
Shout out Chris Grooves,
Shout out to Chris Grooves, right? Chris is a very, very good networker and a very, very talented DJ and producer as well. And he's done such a good job of combining all these things. I had him on my podcast. He said, you got to have DJ Susan on your podcast. That's how I got involved with Hood Politics. I was lucky enough to get big people on the podcast before they blew up, like Sid and West End and Honey Love and Ranger Trucco and all these people. And these people all became part of my network because I was giving them something without expecting anything in return. Giving people a platform, that was my thing. That's always been my thing. So that's how I've been able to kind of make my way in the music industry, I guess, is networking my talent, which is my passion in life is people and traveling, and I feel blessed to be living in a timeline in which I can do that to the fullest. So yesterday we had a lot of Q&A, and I want to leave some more time for that. I feel like that's the best way, again, to make sure you guys' specific questions are getting answered. So we have some time for that. First person with your hand up, who's got a question? Yes, Todd. Come on. Everybody knows Todd now, right? Yeah. Under Armour, bro? Can I get some free Under Armour?
Not anymore.
W. Todd. W. Todd.
This question is for Mr. Susan and Mr. Soto. Only two DJs, right? I'm a DJ as well. Okay. And I guess the question is, in 2026, if you're going to rank social media producing, meaning the tracks that you're putting out, and actually playing in front of people, whether it's support or headlining, where do you rank those in the most important if you are wanting to make it to the top? What comes first, what comes last? I don't know. That's why I'm asking, because I see all different types of ways to get to the top.
Honestly, I'd say in the big 2-6, it's all about visibility. Like, there's so many people that are blowing up right now that are doing absolutely nothing. You just see them all the time, right? And it's not like you're asking to see these people. You just see them all the time. Even if it's just the dumbest video or just zero engagement, you're always seeing this person. And you have this idea of this person. They have a reputation already. So whatever they do next, you're already like, they have that foundation set. Their presence is known. If you make amazing music and you don't have that presence, then no one's going to see that, right? It's just sitting there. I think it goes hand in hand as well because, I mean, dude, like, look at the homie from Love Island who's like a dubstep DJ now. That dude's huge because he was on Love Island and everyone saw him, right? There wasn't any talent there to begin with, I guess. But, like, same with Pauly D. I love Pauly D, bro. I'll go see him in a second. Not because he's a great, makes music, just because he's a character. And I've seen him so much, right? So truthfully, I'd honestly say just like try to work on your exposure in any way possible. Like put that beautiful smiling face online that people can see as much as possible. Let people resonate with you in any way. And then when you do release music or put something out, you'll have this community of people and followers and friends that love seeing you, right? And then they're going to want to see what's next. They're already engaged. They're already interested in what you have to offer. And I think, you can always start with the music too, but I think the most important thing is social visibility and just putting yourself out there, even in the most ridiculous ways, right? Like everybody always talks about these success stories where they posted about the same song 500 times, 600 times till something happened. And it really is like that, I don't know where we got this expectation that life like just comes to you, but you have to put yourself out there to make that happen. So I think just coming up with cool ways to talk about life, just who you are as a person besides art, and just putting yourself out there so people can see you is going to be super helpful for you, me, anybody that's wanting to just get exposure, really. Like create the character first. Before I was a DJ, I was a fucking character. So then when I became a DJ, they were like, oh shit, let's go. So Yeah, focus on building your personal brand and putting yourself out there. Because people want to see you, bro. You're gorgeous.
Can you repeat the question? What was the question again?
Social media, there's actual producing, putting out tracks,
Uh-huh.
and then playing in front of people, whether it's trio or Coachella, support or headline. If you're wanting to be the next Pauly D or Summit, like, how would you rank those three in your personal opinion? What's the most important? What comes last?
I feel like same as Susan said, putting yourself out there, literally risk it for the biscuit. Like, you know, you probably sometimes you gotta be in the right place at the right time, and that helps you. But they go by hand, you know. Either one thing will work for you or the other one. It all depends of the environment or where you want to be. You know, sometimes being a super famous Instagram model will take you there, even though you have shitty sets, you know, and stuff like that. And then there's beautiful girls too playing and just literally performing with nothing but a bra and underwear, you know, and they're playing these bigger stages. So that worked for them, you know, which even we hate it. There's DJs that are super talented, you know, and they're like underground still, and they're the best producers in the world. So, you know, it all depends on where you want to be. Some things will work for you, and other things will work for a lot of people. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think it's so important to understand what like defining success looks like for you. You know, let's talk about like record labels for a second, right? Like at Hood Politics Records, we sign so many different types of artists, people that we know, that we don't know, whatever it is. And I love when management gets involved and it's like their first release and they're like, we didn't like how this track was rolled out. I'm like, how was it rolled out? They were like, well, we didn't really feel the love from you guys. We're like, what do you mean? We literally have a process that we communicated with you on. Well, it didn't chart on Beatport Top 10. Okay. Well, it didn't get 100,000 Spotify streams. Okay. Well, Dom Dalla didn't play it at Red Rocks. Okay. Fuck, man. That's your expectation of success? Jesus Christ. You know? And they look at that because we have had tracks that do those things, right? And I think the important thing about music as a producer, a DJ, an artist, whatever, not all tracks and releases and artists are made the same because you get to make that mistake. James Hype talks a lot about that, right? Like you get to try again. And that's a rarity in music, I would say, especially as producers. Like I talked about it yesterday, that one of the first tracks I released was called The Sherminator, and it's really fucking bad. I sampled American Pie, and it's literally like it's an abomination, but it's still up on Spotify, and I made the cover art, and I'm proud of that shit, and that's part of the journey. And I would consider that a successful track for me because I took a chance, and I said, fuck it, I'm just putting this music out, you know? I learned how to upload the track, I learned how to make the art, I learned how to market the track. And I think when you get a holistic view of what it means to actually be an artist who's a producer, a DJ, and an entertainer, like you just slowly start to figure each thing out on its own. And it's not going to be like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. You kind of have to just go through it and experience on your own. So like know that success is different for everybody, I would say. This is a really good question though.
I think, not that my opinion matters, I'm not a DJ, but I think that like if I were to answer your question, I think there is no hierarchy, there is no formula. I think you have to have, say, two of the three. You either need to be a good producer and have good social media or have good sets because, you know, some people get to the top because of their sets and their social media, but maybe aren't the best producers, so on and so forth. So I think it's a combination thereof and then a lot of luck and timing. So
Okay, hand up. Who's got a question? Right here, front row, bro. Love that.
So I know obviously we focused on a lot of like in-person relationships, and that's obviously like the best way to get people to be on your side and advance and all that. But let's say you have a track that you really believe in and that you love a lot, but maybe you don't have the opportunity to meet people who run the label or whatever. What would be the best way to sort of sell yourself to them online? If you were to do that, like what would you guys say?
I'm just gonna jump in quick and then I'll pass it. If you have a track that you really believe in, you feel like you don't have the relationships already to be like, hey Sherm, remember me? I've added value 3 to 7 times. Here's my track. Build your own railroad. Put it out yourself. Show traction. Show belief in yourself. Susan always says this. You only need one person to believe in you, and it can be you. So if you Michael Scott, if you put a track out and then build on that momentum and build on that momentum and build on that momentum, it's going to magnetize opportunities to you. And then when you're submitting to labels, they have something to look at. Whether it performed well or didn't perform well, they see that you're capable of doing it. And so rather than sort of like waiting for somebody to put it out, it's just like, just do it yourself and create the momentum, magnetize opportunities to you. And then when you're not asking for things, like you're sort of attracting things, it puts you in a good position when you're on the phone with them, like metaphorically or literally, where like, yo, dude, you hit me up, so like, yeah, let's work together. So I wouldn't waste time. I would just like, yo, I'm doing this, because you can also play like the label game, right? You're like, I want to release on Confession, I want to release on Hood Politics, I want to release on here, I want to release here, which you sort of have to play that game. But another mindset is like, look, I'm making my own railroad here, and you can get on it or you can't.
I want to reiterate on that. My entire life and career changed when I took this shit into my own hands, bro. You have no idea how many paragraph emails I've sent to labels throughout the years. Yo, this is the one. I swear to God, this is the track that's going to change my life. And then I realized, like, nobody is going to care about your art more than you, right? And we have this expectation that people are going to do that and meet us with that same enthusiasm and that same, like, oh my God, this is the best fucking song. But they're not. They're really not, bro. And speaking on Hood Politics' behalf, dude, we get tens of thousands of demos a month, right? And there's a lot of people that do wait for us to give them their approval before they put something out. But my life really changed, bro, when I took accountability and I said, I'm tired of waiting for people to say yes. I'm tired of waiting for people to book me for their shit. Tired of people for letting me be a part of their stuff. I'm starting my own thing. And then Hood Poly started. And everybody that said no to me prior came knocking on my door a few months later. Because I think what's more respected than like a good catalog and having everything perfect is resilience and respect for what you believe in. And it wasn't until I just started putting music out every week on Hood Poly, bringing friends into it with me as well, that we created something so much bigger than the music that everybody wanted to be a part of. And it wasn't until I made that leap of faith in doing that that it happened. And all the big labels I released on throughout my career came to me because they were like, yo, you're sick. I heard your music here. I love what you're doing with Hood Poly. And same with shows and festivals and people that I talk to and partnerships. I'm not personally reaching out to these people. They're hitting me up because we're visible, we're active, we're consistent, and we bring community into it so palpably that people respect that and they want to be a part of it. And if I was a producer that waited for someone to say yes, I probably wouldn't even be here, let alone 5 years ago. And building the community with Hood Poly, taking a chance on myself, realizing that no one's gonna care more than me, changed everything. And now I'm sitting in this room with my best friends on literally tour with my record label right now, all because I took that chance, said I'm not waiting for anybody. I'm gonna do this shit my own way, and nothing's gonna stop me. Because there's nothing cooler than watching somebody be stoked on their own shit. Truly. The people that look around and go, what do you think? No. Someone that's dead set in how they feel about something and stoked and confident and proud, that's attractive to buyers and labels and A&Rs. So I implore you, don't wait for anybody. Pave your own lane. Bring some identity to your album artworks and your branding and just keep going, bro. Because people are going to hear that. People are going to see you doing that, and people are going to respect your journey and where you're going to be heading next. And doors are going to open for you 100%.
Yeah, and like networking and sales are like taboo in this industry, you know. But like you have to find a way to get that online relationship in real life. Like Hood Politics, just to speak on specifically, we are fucking available. You just got to get out in front of us, right? So I want you to be the person that does actually follow up and email. Like I just handily give my email out to people because I want to see if you're actually fucking gonna email me. 99% of people don't even fucking email me. It's crazy. It's crazy. They don't follow up. Like. I have a day job in sales. Got to have that W-2 to get that home approved loan. Yo, what up? And what I have found is it's really hard to get people's attention online, especially on social media. My God, like the worst way to get a hold of me is actually Instagram. I'm overwhelmed by what's going on over there all the time. So I would find a way to actually be the person that like follows up and emails and sends the music. Like we have signed music that has been sent to us by the same artist 10 times, right? And we see them getting better, and we give them feedback, and we say, this is not the right one yet, but we notice you're getting better. Release that song, make your own noise in the meantime, because it might not be the right timing for us. So, and then find a way to make that connection in person. We're in Miami. We're in fucking Charleston. We're in Amsterdam, dude. We're in Chicago. We're in LA, San Diego. Like, you can find us, you can get in front of us, and you'd be surprised. Again, like I said, like the Erics of the world, the Ryans of the world, the Kyles, the Sotos, like the door's open, dude. You just got to knock. Cool. All right, one more. Did you have a question? Oh, yeah, go ahead, Soup.
On another note on that too, what I talked about earlier and why putting your music out is so important, having something to show for yourself when you do meet these people is so important. Say we wait for a label for a year to put our shit out and we miss the opportunity to put out 6 tracks, right? And then you meet somebody here in Miami or at ADE and they're like, I want to check your shit out. And then you have nothing there. It's over. But if you put your shit out, they're not going to like extensively listen to it, dissect it, be like, this is good or not. They're going to be like, oh, this dude has something to show for himself. And the age old saying, the best time to plant a tree is 30 fucking 10, 20 years ago. So I think having that catalog and that volume and showing people that you're active, showing people that you show up, showing people that you care is so huge. So like having that catalog there when people meet you and check you out is super important.
That's huge. Okay.
I can also say
Yeah,
quick.
Go ahead.
My top 100 favorite songs, I couldn't tell you a single one of them on what record label they were put out on. So from a buying side or a talent side or a booking side, it doesn't fucking matter. Put it out yourself. If it's a good song, it's a good song. So I don't know if that helps at all, but I couldn't tell you a single record label or a single song, what record label it's attached to. So.
All the way. The guy in the hood politics hat. Wow. Well, special treatment, I guess.
Yeah. I got a question for Ryan, Eric, and probably you, Sherm. Last night we talked, and you had like gotten emails from John Summit and declined him, right? Like from booking him early on in his like growth and stages. When you're at the point of like you can plan a tour, or like you're at the point where you're like putting out enough music and you have enough music out there, how do you essentially get booked for these places that you can't just show up, that you're like, you can't, meet the people in the venue and stuff, How did you plan the tour? Like, how do these people, plan something that when they are at that level where they are releasing music, how do they get to that level?
Yeah. We'll start with Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's 2 answers. One, like if you're at that, I think I'm understanding like the level that you're saying, but like if you're at the level where you're putting out music and you're saying for people who already are somewhat established, I think the answer there is finding the right agent that's going to work for you, and going to knock down all these doors and reach out to the right buyers, reach out to the right promoters, reach out to the right venues. But even if you're not, fully established, whether you can go do that yourself, or you can find one of your buddies to say, hey, there's so many of these big acts, their managers are like their best friends. Like that's how it started out, right? So find one of your friends and be like, hey, I'm working on the music. Like you go handle the business shit for me, and find that person who's going to, knock down all those doors and not take no for an answer. And that all depends on how big you get, right? Like there are agents who will ignore me 7 times in a row, right? And because they're either too busy or they're not interested in putting their artist with us. And then there's the flip side where it drives me absolutely insane, but I have this one agent who literally has relentlessly harassed me to the point where I'm like, okay, I will find you a date if you stop calling, texting me, and emailing me, right? Like, so I mean, yeah, as long as it's the right fit, and we work with a lot of different venues that have a lot of different sizes. So if back to sort of, you have to have somewhat talent, right? But by putting yourself out there, and it's really everyone's information's. I forget who brought this up to me. You, Eric, right? Roster. Yeah. So apparently in Charlotte last night, people were talking about roster.cc. You know, you wanna get booked, right? Get a subscription on that. It has everyone's information that you could possibly imagine, and just start firing out emails, making cold calls. That's gonna be the best way to get you booked, I'd say.
Yeah, so I have a little bit different of an approach. They're fortunate enough to work with a lot of venues from 200 cap to 10,000. So, and in markets that are a lot bigger than the Southeast. So, like, I actually get this not direct question a lot, but it comes up on a daily, weekly basis for me, where we have an artist that's great, super talented, love their music. We're in a tertiary market where really only like top level artists are getting recognized, selling tickets, filling the room. So, approaches that I would take if I were in that position that I have seen done that have worked. So two things I would say. One, look at markets that like a New York, or promoters like him that have multiple venues that you could play, and say, hey, I see you just, internally. All right, I see they just posted a show at Under the K Bridge. I want to play with them. Obviously, that's not my venue, but they also book this underground room that's a 200 cap. I have 25 friends in their city. I have, I did my research. I found I have X amount of fans. I can reach out to them directly. And then that's when you say, hey, I might be a good fit for the next time you're booking something at this venue. What's worked for us in the past, and I can give you a couple examples of actual artists that it happened to, outside of the management side, because yes, we will do favors for managers and agents. Hey, I'm going to give you this guy. I've got this guy up and coming. Can you please put him on this show? Or if you have an open date, like I'll scratch your back over here. Give me this guy. But what I've seen work a handful of times is find a show or a venue that you want to play that you think you're maybe not quite ready for, but you could be. Reach out to someone that's playing that venue, a headliner that fits your brand that you might have a relationship with. Hey man, I see you're playing trio. I've been wanting to play that room. I'd love to come and play support for you. Is there any way you can make that recommendation? And I'll fly out on my own. I'll play it for free, but let me kind of tag along with you. And we had that with Twin Diplomacy did that in Charlotte for a show. I don't remember who it was with. Maybe Noizu. And they showed up early. They networked. They hung out in the green room with Angelo. They got to know the staff. They were very likable. They did everything we were talking about earlier. We talked about Charleston. They wanted to come to Charleston. We ended up giving them a chance because we enjoyed the experience with them. They took out their own ads and they sold out. So, finding it all goes back to finding a way to get into that room. It's not always just going to be pure talent. That was a way that they networked themselves into the room on a headline and sold it out. So there are tons of ways to get into these kinds of things. Just be creative and put in the work. They were all in. They everything that they had, they made sure that they got back into that room. There's another artist, very similar situation and scenario. I'm not going to name the names because it didn't work for them. And I'll tell you who it is later because you'll know. They didn't put in the work. They came. They were on direct support. They showed up for their set. They super talented, great set. Didn't really network while they were there. Were not as likable and did not provide us as a venue with that same experience. We got hit up by their agent later, like, hey, they did support on this show. Can you get them a headline? It's like, I didn't believe in it. So be that genuine person. And yes, there's plenty of opportunity to network outside of traditional networking. So yeah, that would be my take on it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, to Eric's point, also, like, and something I didn't mention, the room is really important, right? So, like, you got to have a good hone on what your sound is and where it's going to fit and the vibe of where you want to play, right? Like, you're not going to get a lot of answers if you're reaching out to a hip hop venue, right? Like, they're just going to ignore your stuff. There's people, Charleston's an interesting market, right? Where we're working with a lot of different type venues down here, and there's acts that might sell 10,000 tickets in New York City that I would be scared couldn't even sell 1,000 tickets in Charleston because some people don't know exactly who they are. For example, one of my favorite acts is Who Made Who. I would love to bring them here. The agent reached out to me like, hey, like, let's bring Who Made Who to Charleston. They're a $100,000 act in Charleston, more elsewhere. I can't bring Who Made Who to Charleston because I don't think they'd sell even close to $100,000 worth of tickets. So the room is very important, like Eric's saying. Like, you want to, like, back to the preparation, right? Like, spend the time before you go turn all these wheels to know who you're reaching out to, because that's going to be a lot more effective. Rather than just this, like, spray approach, like, I'll take whatever I can get. And then to what Eric's saying, right? Like, once you get in the room, make sure you're going to add value to the room and be the right guy for that room, because it only takes one chance. And once you get in there and you do a good job, like Eric said, with a lot of his resident type DJs, it's a very long lasting relationship after that. And then it just only leads to more rooms. So yeah, just want to add that.
Yeah, those are great points. I put together my own tour 2024 called the Toxic Tour, which is a track that I released on Hood Politics. It was a way to market the track, and I went to, I think it was 12 different cities. I didn't even play in my own market of Chicago, and I did this tour by myself. This before I had management, any sort of agency help. And what I was doing was leveraging relationships to the absolute fullest. I waited as long as I possibly could have to tour, to go to other cities. You see so many DJs are like going on tour, and you're playing at like a Podunk sports bar in like Westerville, Ohio, dude. Like, that's 4 weekends in a row. Yeah, 4 weekends. I wouldn't call that a tour, and like, that's a bad look. And Susan made a really good point about this yesterday. Like, how you put yourself out there is how people will view you. So I waited as long as I possibly could. I had opportunities in other cities, just didn't feel right. I didn't have enough music out. I didn't have the connections. And the important thing for us, especially on this tour, was to go to cities where we can get in front of people like this, because you got to think, like, Susan made a point. The best day to plant a tree was yesterday. So this tour that I went on in 2024, I went to some obscure markets. I played in Minneapolis. I played in Tempe, like all these different places. And I made sure in these places I was planting a seed with promoters, with fans, most importantly, and building that community. And then you can put together a tour stop of 15 cities where, we've been before, and now this is our second time in Charleston. We look forward to our 5th time in Charleston, and growing and growing and growing. And I think that leans into Ryan's point, like, scale at a level in which you can scale. Also, like, you're going to have to take some pay cuts too. Like, my first Insomniac gig was at, I think it was Exchange, and it was because I developed a relationship with Wookie directly. And he said, I want to book Sherm on this show, right? And that took me a long time. I was a fan of him for a long time. I was always just a fan. And we met him at ADE, and he's the absolute fucking homie. And that's how I got my gig, right? So I waited a long time to ask for a favor. So I would say just set yourself up for that. And when you go to places, really fucking mean it. Like, just don't be the person that comes in and comes out, and that's it. We all remember those people. We don't know why they're still doing it, because that shit's fucking awful. But okay, we got some time for more questions. What time is it, Eric?
1 or 2 more.
Okay, cool. Who's got a question? Yes, this guy. Want to do rock paper scissors? Do rock paper scissors, right, Rick? Rock paper scissors, shoot. Oh fuck, man. Yeah, come on, man. Gotta go paper.
Yeah, this question is, first off, thank you guys. This is great. Love everything about this. And this question is mainly for Eric and Ryan. Is an earlier topic was all about the leap of faith, which I think is something that we've all in this room experienced. And I want to hear just a little bit more about you guys both had lucrative jobs and the confidence that it took to actually take that leap. And I think for early DJs, promoters, all in this room is that's a big thing is developing is how did you actually develop the confidence to leave your lucrative role and ultimately take that leap of faith into the industry is something I want to hear a little bit more about.
Let me shake your hand, Mr. Rochambeau winner right there. That's a good fucking hand.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Um, I sound like a broken record now, but obviously it goes back to preparation too. For me personally, you know, having studied economics and finance, I'm obviously someone who is driven by money and the dollar, just like a lot of other people. Um, I was always very confident that I was going to figure out a way to make the math work on, you know, sort of anything that I was doing in any sort of business venture. But I think there's a few ways to go about it, and whether, you know, if you're at a 9 to 5 job, right, start whatever side hustle you want to start, and you know, take every single penny of what you're doing in that side hustle and bank it. You know, save. Don't go on the one vacation. You know, don't order the Uber Eats, DoorDash, etc. Like, that's gonna help you, I guess, free yourself from, you know, the shackles of corporate America, if that's what you're trying to do, um, because then you are going to have a much better, you know, a little bit of a safety net, right? It's hard, especially like in this economy right now. It's hard for everyone, but if you can build something on the side that then makes you feel more comfortable, gives you less anxiety about leaving whatever you're doing, I think that helps a lot. But another big thing that I think a lot of people have gotten away from and that I push is like, just read as much as you can. Um, when I was in banking, I was reading books about CAA, WME, Michael Ovitz, David Geffen, all these legendary agents. Just anything I could really get my hands on um, related to the music industry. And then there's a good book. It's called Everything You Need to Know About the Music Industry, or How to Make It in the Music Industry. I forget. Yes, thank you. You know, that can tell you basically everything you need to know about every side of this industry. And that's another thing you can do to kind of, you know, help push yourself and feel more prepared about, you know, quitting whatever it is that you want to quit. Like I, for instance, read that book before I left, and then 3 months later, I was managing Vassy, and I had no experience in the music industry at all. For those who don't know, you know, she's a platinum recording artist, has a very big song with David Guetta and Tiesto, Bad and Secrets. This is a little bit before a lot of people's time in here, probably. But yeah, I mean, she was very legit by all means. She was a little older than I was at the time, so there were things that I was still learning from her. And that situation came about again through a friend, through a mutual connection. I was just out in New York one night and talking to people about like how I wanted to leave finance and get into music, and someone at her label, her project manager at her label, was like, "Hey, I have an artist who is sick of the music industry. She thinks it's a total boys club. She doesn't want to be managed by anyone who has anything to do with the music industry right now, and I think she'd love you." And I was like, okay, well, I have no experience managing an artist whatsoever, but I do have some skills that might be transferable. Like, I'm open to taking a phone call with her, and she kind of connected us. We talked for 2 hours that night, And, 2 months later, I was traveling to Hong Kong to do a show with Tiesto, and I was just like, what's happening here? And I was going into her label was Sony Red at the time, so I was with these big label executives, and people were looking at me like, who are you, and like, why are you in this position, and how did you even get here? But yeah, I mean, you just kind of believe in yourself and prepare yourself and study as much as you can. If reading's not your thing, then go listen to podcasts or whatever to prep yourself, because you never know like what little tidbit of information you're going to get from something you were just doing and looking at or reading by yourself that can apply to whatever conversation you happen to find yourself in, right? And then someone's gonna look at you and be like, oh, wow, that was a pretty intelligent comment or whatever. And they have no idea that you just read that like 2 weeks ago, like from someone else, and you're just regurgitating it, right? I think that helps a ton. But yeah, Eric.
I have a little different approach, surprisingly, even going through law school. I read one book in my entire life, Unreasonable Hospitality, and I listened to it. Actually, I didn't even read it. Unreasonable Hospitality, which highly recommend everyone read it. But I think my path was a little different. I kind of worked my way into the opportunity. I was working in the building. I was working in hospitality. I loved the music. It wasn't like I was just woke up one day and was like, I hate being a lawyer. I want to be in music. I'm quitting everything and diving into it. If you can do that, great. If there's success stories from that, I'm sure there are. They're probably way few and far between. You really need to make sure that you're making a logical and educational decision. While it's definitely risky and a leap, again, I had a platform, I had a basis, I had experience in nightlife. I had managed Trio for 3 or 4 years. It wasn't what it was. It was a bar with a DJ booth in the corner playing open format, but I had experience, and I loved the music, and I had been to clubs in Vegas and Miami, and I, from a customer side, I knew what the experience was, what I liked about it, what I didn't, what I thought I could do differently. Walking into nightclubs, I've always been very detail oriented. I'll walk into Vegas, and the first thing I'll see is that light's not working. This speaker's got a fuzzy whatever top a tweeter on it. So being able to basically take things and be, all right, I would do this a little differently. I didn't reinvent the wheel. I did things my way. And so I think having the confidence enough to know that my foundation and my experience thus far has taken me to a point where I'm comfortable enough to now jump. I wasn't jumping from the top. I was able to get to a point in my life and my career to where I was comfortable making that leap and knowing that I wanted to be on my own and work for myself. I come from a family of entrepreneurs, so being able to know that the foundation was there. So that's kind of what made me confident enough to kind of make that leap is knowing that I had the skill set and I had the drive and I was all in. That was it for me.
Yeah, go ahead, Sue. Dude, that's so sick you asked that question, because I literally remember to the day, to the exact time when I chose to make the leap of faith in my life, bro. I was working dead end jobs in high school and college, and then I went to college and quit and was on my own. And I was just thinking about starting Hood Poly and legitimizing Hood Poly as a legitimate business, trademarking the name, starting to make some merch. I knew what I had to do. And I was reading this Mix Mag interview. It was like with Bro Safari. You know that trap artist? Shout out Bro Safari, legend. But he literally said, my life changed when I took the leap of faith and I didn't look back and I just went all in, and I resonated with that so hard. And kind of to play devil's advocate a little bit, dude, taking that leap of faith fucking rules, bro. It lit such a fire under my ass. I think I put all the money I had in my savings into trademarking Hood Poly, making merch, and like developing a business to where I was like, dude, didn't go this far to ever quit. And it literally motivated me to keep going and keep showing up and just pushed me, right? I knew I had so much to lose and I had nothing. And it's kind of like a scary but beautiful moment because you grow in that. And growth comes from being uncomfortable. And it literally pushed me to show up, put myself out there, start networking, start connecting, got residencies at bars, restaurants, all that shit. And literally didn't even need to go back to everything about a job or whatever. Started a brand that still exists today. But I took that leap of faith with pride, with no regrets, and I never looked back. And it was so scary, but I grew so much from that. And I didn't have that growth before, but it was only the growth I developed after that led me to being here. And it's crazy, it's scary, but like life shows up when you show up for it. So shout out to Leap of Faith, baby.
The first currency.
Yeah, the first currency, baby.
All right, brother. Here you go.
So my question's kind of more tailored to what advice do you have for people that are currently trying to make pivots in their own like tailored personal brand? Like, do you more suggest that you wait till it's in a presentable package that like you're comfortable with, or do you really suggest that people just show everybody what the process is and the behind the scenes and what really goes on?
That people want real and raw encounters with each other, and we see so much online that's so tailored and so superficial and so perfect that people thrive off the behind the scenes. People thrive behind the story, the whys and the how it was made and stuff. And like perfection isn't on the pedestal anymore. It's real. It's being real and authentic. And I think being able to resonate with your story and how you're coming up, and especially how you release on Hood Poly, and like how you're making a career out of yourself while also being a teacher, like that's awesome. That's real life shit that people want to connect with. And you could be the artist that's like, I have the best press photos and the best music and the best videos, and that's cool, but people want to see the real you. They want to see the struggles. They want to see the process. They want to see the good times and the hard times, right? And it's just such a superficial world and industry, and especially on Instagram, that when you post something that's organic and has like substance to it, people really vibe with that. And that's the process, and that's coming up and all that stuff. So yeah, definitely keep doing that. It's awesome. And I love what you're doing with your stuff in class and everything. That's legendary.
Yeah, it's
because
awesome, bro.
beyond the product, like you are your own person and you're a character, and that's what sells it, right? Like we don't fuck with SpongeBob because what he does, he's the fucking man. Don't get me started on Patrick, bro. Yeah. We just, because they're fucking cool and they're like real, right? Yeah, so I implore you to just keep enjoying the process, sharing it with the world, and showing people that like, you know, you can connect with real life situations, because everybody looks at this industry and the artists that are in it as overnight success and, oh, it's that easy, but it's not. So showing the real process of it all it's beautiful. And I think you should absolutely keep getting to doing that.
Document the process, dude. Like your personal brand is everything. I feel like ever since the video Kim Kardashian crying about how stressed she was about studying for the LSAT just blew the fucking bubble of, oh my God, your life is so hard. And like, wow, like being rich and famous is not as fucking cool as it used to be. Fuck that. You know what I mean? Like that's great for them, but like that's not who we surround ourselves with. That's like the 0.01%. Like we are most people, and I feel like how we document our journeys on social media, it can be tough. It can be weird because you post yourself being vulnerable, making your music. Like again, art is subjective. We are in a subjective field. That's why Sue and I always harp on believing in yourself and being your number one fan. Sue had a great point yesterday about Picasso. The SpongeBob might have been better actually, Sue, but Picasso, SpongeBob is the Picasso of cartoons. Okay, yeah. Now I'm quoting him. Picasso didn't give a flying fuck what anybody thought, right? And he just was himself, and it was so unordinary that people got on that train with him. And I feel like that's what you got to do, no matter how weird or introverted you are. Like, we just live in a world in which you do need to tell your story because people want authenticity. They want to relate to you through your struggles, through your successes. Like, becoming a successful DJ, being on stage is like 10% of it, you know? 90% of it is getting to those stages, and what it's like before, during, and after is something that I think people really want to document. And I think we talked about social media yesterday. YouTube is very, very underestimated and underappreciated still. I don't really know why. As someone that puts stuff on YouTube, it's a whole different algorithm that you need to specialize in and understand. But vlogging is really coming back. People doing their own personal podcasts, people telling their story. how you actually put yourself out there in an authentic way. Find that medium. This is why I'm pro TikTok, man. TikTok is fucking awesome for people to get themselves out there. I'm pro Instagram. I'm pro all these things, like, because everyone's gonna find their own home to put themselves out there. So to answer your question directly, just take that first step. Just like Patrick coming out from under his rock, bro.
Preach.
Yeah.
Also, I've found, and I talk with Sherm about this all the time, is like, we'll see the boys on Hood Poly or friends that we're close with spend hours on videos to promote their music or promote themselves on social media. Tanks every time. I pick up the camera, do a 5-second one take, dumbest video I've ever made. Numbers. I don't know why, but my intuition is telling me that people vibe with that like raw, organic, natural content rather than something that's all packaged up and looking so perfect. Obviously, you want to have a professional looking, pages and stuff and press, and so that looks good. But the stuff that you post, I don't think, for everybody, I don't think it needs to be perfect, just real, truly. Because all the best numbers I've ever had on videos is shit I just do in 1 second. And then I'll send it to the group and they're like, I fucking hate you, bro. And it really is like that. Like, life's so serious as it is that people come to music to feel like real shit and get an escape and be happy and smile and have fun, right? Like, I'm DJ fucking Susan, for crying out loud. You think I'm taking this shit too seriously? Hell no. And I think it's important to, like, realize who you are and what you're in this for, and be stoked on that. Just be the person that you are. Be your personality more than anything else.
Hell yeah, let's get some claps. What time we got, Eric? That was the last one. Who's got a quickie? You got a quickie, bro? Flip flop guy? Let's go. Javianas, man. Come on now.
I got a question more specifically for Ryan. When you hold an event in an unfamiliar market, what like personal strategies do you have to market to that? If you're not, you don't know anyone there, you don't really have a base of people and a market you can reach out to. Do you rely on Instagram ads, or do you have any personal strategy for that?
Jack, do you want to answer this question? That's one of our employees. He handles all of our marketing and Instagram ads. The first thing, if I were throwing an event in, say, like, let's say Missouri or something like that, right, where I don't really know anyone that lives there, I mean, there's different ways to go about it, but you definitely want to figure out what everyone likes there, right? Like, what type of music they're listening to, what genre, what are the clubs, who are the Erics in this town, city, wherever you're trying to throw your event, right? And then most importantly, even more so than who are the Erics, like, who are the Sotos? That's what I would be trying to do. I would be trying to figure out who's directing the entertainment in wherever you're trying to go. Who's booking all these local DJs? Because local DJs are the lifeblood that gets your parties started, right? That's what they're supposed to be. We take a lot of time and pride in, building a network of locals in New York that we know can drive significant ticket sales, right? Whether they're just harassing all of their friends to come, whether they've built a good following in their community, and I mean, obviously they need to have a good sound too, and have that talent. But that would be like, if I were really trying to start an event from scratch, where in a place that I had no existence in whatsoever, I would be going after the locals, and I would be calling them up and saying, hey, I saw your stuff online. I saw your Instagram. This looks super cool. I saw you were playing here. Like, hey, could you connect me to, because there's a lot. So Blank Canvas is a good example, right? We're looking at potentially doing stuff in Nashville. Blank Canvas does a lot of stuff in Nashville. They are awesome in Miami. They, like, if you go down to Miami Music Week, you'll see their logo all over the place with a ton of good talent and awesome events. and I would, you know, if I didn't have the network and I didn't know, you know, who to contact, I would go back to the Sotos of the area that I'm trying to throw this event and say, hey, can you connect me with the owner of this place that you played? Or do you know these local promoters that booked you in XYZ? Like, and I would reach out to them. And I think the best way to do it is to probably co-pro it with someone if they're open, right? You might get immediately shot down and say, hey, man, this is like my turf. This is what I'm doing. Like, we don't want any competition in the market. Ways to combat that, right, is like, hey, you know, I'll take on XYZ financial risk if you let me come in here, or come to them with something that provides them value. And that's the way I would go about. And then back to your, you know, obviously you can run Instagram ads wherever you want, and which is very important. But I would first and foremost find the foundation of what you're trying to build in this market, and then worry about all the digital, because you can find anyone to run your digital for the most part. Yeah, Jack, you're replaceable. Sorry.
I'll add to that. From an outsider's perspective, I think one thing that Project 91 does, and I've been working with them a lot now on some cool stuff we've got coming up. But he said at the very beginning that they're very collaborative. And I think this industry in a lot of markets is very territorial. You go to some of these bigger cities and there's one, maybe two big promoters, and it's super cutthroat. If you try to break into the market, you're getting smashed. So reaching out to the people that are already doing it, a lot of times you will get shut down. You could be like Ryan and buy a table every weekend for 18 months, and that'll get you in. No. No, but all seriousness, it goes back to being likable and not only bringing value again financially, but you know, as a person, you only have so much bandwidth. I would love to be doing big events in the city by myself. I can't. I don't have the time. I don't have the marketing power. I'm going to be 40 years old this year. I don't know what the college kids are listening to. So someone like them have taken such a good approach, which is what I attribute a lot of their quick growth to, is because they are not trying to compete. They're trying to grow together. And I think again, from an outsider's perspective, whether it sounds like you're trying to do it that way, but where they're really being successful on it is that they are finding those Sotos and doing it in a way that's not like, hey, you're a great DJ, you work at this club, you sell a lot of tickets, help me book this show. It's more so like, hey, I want to help build the scene. I'm coming, I'm supporting, I'm going to your shows. I'm immersing myself in this market. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. I mean, Ryan's been here for how many years before you actually started really getting into throwing shows? A few years.
Yeah, a few years. And one of the first things I did, to Eric's point, was like, when I got down here, I came from New York City, right? This is completely different. And a lot of my friends were like, hey, what are you doing down in Charleston? How are you going to last there? Like, you're going to get so bored, blah, 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 blah. I had no idea what Trio was. I had no clue that anyone was booking the level of talent that Eric was booking in Charleston. And when I got down here, I saw that he was, and immediately like drew my attention and was like, okay, I got to go to this place and figure out who owns this place, right? And that was like how eventually I got to Eric. I, was nice to his staff, met his GMs, and was like, hey, who runs this place? Like, and everyone was like, oh, Eric. And then eventually I met him one night and introduced myself. And, now anytime I go to Charlotte, I sleep in his guest room. Like, we're very, very close friends. So if you can do it in an organic way like that, it works even better, right?
Great. I have an input too. As a local perspective, I would say show your face. Be like, hey, my name is, Jimmy. I'm trying to do this and that. I've seen what you do. What would you recommend me to do, or anybody who I can talk to? Just sending an email or a DM wouldn't impact me the way you show your face. Not the same way. It would be better for you to show some, like support. That's the most important thing. And be like, hey, don't be shy. Show your face. Come here. Come party with us. And now I know who you are. I'll remember your face. but I won't remember your Instagram username. That's my best advice.
Yeah, it's in the way in which you follow up and make that connection. I think it's so important. Really good question. All right, that's unfortunately all the time we have, but we are going to be hanging out here if you guys have any specific questions for the panelists. I do, again, want to make it known that, again, knock on those doors, guys. If you take away anything from today, the door is not locked. You just got to knock. And, of course, anybody who wants to come to the show tonight, come. We got you guys for guest lists. Let's fucking rage with that new sound system.
Get with DJ Soto before you leave tonight. He'll put your name on the guest list. Everyone here gets free tickets.
Let's go.
Hey, did you all RSVP online? Did you all did? Okay, I can just copy paste. Are we like doing the raffle for backstage?
Yo, everybody on stage with me when I get on. Come on, let's go. Hey, I do want to end with some last words. I think everything that we want could easily be attained by just smiling more. I'm not even joking. Smile as much as you can. Be vivaciously present with your energy and just smile more. Like, that'll open more doors than anything. Speaking of smiling more, can we get a little group pic together real quick? Yeah. Let's fucking go.
And shout out to Briggs for opening the bar for us and being here to serve you guys.
Shout out to all of you guys for coming tonight. I haven't seen some faces in here. Thank you for coming, for real. Appreciate that. Actually, Eric has never been so pushy about something, and now I understand why he was. I love this shit. Thank you, guys.